everyone. Welcome back to the Personal Growth Talks podcast. I'm Julia, and I'm really happy that you're here with me today. Before we begin, I want you to think about one simple question. What do you do when life does not go the way you want? Maybe you work hard for something, but you still fail. Maybe someone says something that hurts you. Maybe you make a mistake, lose an opportunity, face a difficult problem, or suddenly find yourself in a situation that you never expected. In those moments, it is very easy to think, "Why is this happening to me?" Or, "I can't handle this." But what if you could train your mind to think differently? What if, instead of losing control, you could stay calm, think clearly, learn from the situation, and find your next step? That is exactly what we are going to talk about today. How to train your mind to win in every situation. And remember, winning does not mean that everything always goes perfectly. Sometimes, winning simply means staying strong, learning, adapting, and continuing to move forward. So take a deep breath, relax, and let's begin. So, when we say win, what do we really mean? Many people think winning means getting the highest score, making the most money, becoming more successful than other people, or getting exactly what they want. And yes, those things can feel like a win, but real winning is much bigger than that. Sometimes, winning means staying calm when someone is trying to make you angry. Sometimes, winning means getting back up after you fail, even when you feel disappointed and you really want to give up. Sometimes, winning means saying, "I made a mistake, but I can learn from it," instead of saying, "I am a failure." Imagine you prepare very hard for an important exam, but you do not get the result you expected. You may feel sad, frustrated, or even embarrassed. You cannot go back and change that result, but you can choose what happens next. You can study your mistakes, understand what went wrong, improve your skills, and prepare better for the next opportunity. That is a real win. Because real success is not only about what happens to you, it is also about who you become because of what happens to you. So, remember this. Winning does not always mean defeating someone else. Sometimes, winning means becoming stronger than the person you were yesterday. Now, let's talk about one of the most powerful skills you can develop: controlling your response. You cannot control everything that happens in your life. You cannot control what other people say, how other people behave, unexpected problems, bad news, or sudden changes in your plans. But there is one thing you can work on every single day, and that is your response. For example, imagine that someone says something rude to you. Your first feeling might be anger. You may want to answer immediately and say something even stronger. But here is where your mental training begins. Instead of reacting immediately, give yourself a small pause. Stop. Take a breath. Think. Then respond. That small pause may look very simple, but it can completely change the situation. When you react too quickly, your emotions may make the decision for you. But when you pause, you give your mind time to choose a better response. And remember, controlling your response does not mean that you should never feel angry, sad, nervous, or disappointed. You are human, so of course you will have emotions. Being mentally strong means that you can feel an emotion without allowing that emotion to control your words and actions. This is especially useful for English learners. Maybe someone corrects your English. Maybe you make a speaking mistake. Or maybe you cannot understand something the first time. Instead of thinking, "I'm terrible at English," pause and tell yourself, "It's okay, I'm learning. I can try again." The situation may be the same, but your response becomes different. And that is the real power you have. You may not control what happens, but you can train yourself to control what you do next. Now, let's talk about another powerful way to train your mind. Change the questions you ask yourself. When something goes wrong, many of us naturally ask, "Why me? Why did this happen to me? Why am I having this problem? Why am I always unlucky? Why is everything so difficult?" These questions are understandable because we want to know why something bad happened. But sometimes, if we keep asking the same questions again and again, we become stuck in the problem. We spend so much time thinking about what happened that we forget to think about what we can do next. So instead of asking only, "Why me?" try asking a much more powerful question. What can I do now? Imagine you fail an important exam. You could say, "Why did I fail? I studied so much, this is not fair." Or you could take a breath and ask, "What can I do now to become better?" Maybe you need to practice more. Maybe you need to change the way you study.
Maybe you need to ask someone for help. Maybe you need to spend more time reviewing your mistakes. The same idea works when someone rejects you, when you lose an opportunity, when you make a mistake, or when your plans suddenly change. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening?" ask, "What can I learn from this? What can I control? What is one thing I can do today?" These questions move your mind from complaining to thinking, from thinking to action, and from action to progress. And this is especially important when you are learning English. Maybe you cannot speak fluently yet. Instead of saying, "Why can everyone else speak English better than me?" ask yourself, "What can I practice today?" Maybe you can learn 5 new phrases, speak English for 5 minutes, listen to a short podcast, or simply talk to yourself in English. Remember, you may not be able to choose every situation you face, but you can choose the question you ask when you face it. So, whenever life becomes difficult, pause and ask yourself, "Okay, this happened. Now, what can I do?" That simple question can change the direction of your entire day, and over time, even the direction of your life. Now, let's look at problems in a completely different way. Instead of seeing every difficult situation as something that is stopping you, try to see it as training for your mind. Think about a person who wants to become physically stronger. They do not become strong by lifting something that is always easy. They become stronger when they slowly challenge their muscles and keep going even when the exercise feels difficult. Your mind can work in a similar way. Every time you face a difficult situation, you have a chance to practice something important. A stressful situation can teach you how to stay calm. A mistake can teach you how to be more careful. Failure can teach you patience. Rejection can teach you confidence. A difficult conversation can teach you better communication. This does not mean that we should enjoy every problem or pretend that difficult moments are easy. Some situations can be painful, disappointing, and very uncomfortable. But even when you cannot change the problem, you can ask yourself, "What is this situation teaching me?" And this is especially important when you are learning English. Maybe you speak English and make many mistakes. Maybe you forget words in the middle of a conversation. Maybe you understand English when you read it, but you become nervous when you have to speak. You might think, "I'm not good at English." But what if you change that thought to, "This is my training"? Every mistake is giving you information. Every difficult conversation is giving you practice. Every word you forget gives you a reason to learn it again. Every time you try to speak, even when your English is not perfect, you are training your brain to become more comfortable with English. So, the next time you face a problem,
Do not immediately think, "This is stopping me." Try saying, "This is difficult, but this is also training me." Because sometimes the situation you wish you could avoid is exactly the situation that helps you become stronger, wiser, calmer, and more prepared for the next challenge. Your problems do not have to be the end of your progress. They can become part of your training. Now, I want to talk about something we all do every day, often without even noticing it: talking to ourselves. You may not say these words out loud, but inside your mind, you are constantly having a conversation with yourself. You tell yourself what you can do, what you cannot do, what you are good at, what you are afraid of, and what you think will happen next. And those words matter. Imagine you make a mistake. Maybe your first thought is, "I always make mistakes. I'm not good enough. I can never do this." If you repeat these thoughts again and again, your mind may start to believe them. Then, because you believe you cannot do something, you may stop trying. And when you stop trying, you give yourself even fewer chances to improve. But now imagine changing your inner conversation. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," say, "I can learn how to do this." Instead of saying, "I always fail," say, "I failed this time, but I can try again." Instead of saying, "My English is terrible," say, "My English is improving every time I practice." Notice something important here. Positive self-talk does not mean lying to yourself or pretending that everything is perfect. You are not saying, "I am perfect and I never make mistakes." You are simply choosing words that are honest, helpful, and focused on progress. When you speak kindly and confidently to yourself, you give your brain a better direction. So, starting today, whenever you catch yourself saying something negative, stop for a moment and ask, "Would I say these words to a friend who is trying their best?" If the answer is no, change the words. Tell yourself, "I am learning. I can improve. I can try again. I do not have to be perfect." And remember, you are going to hear your own voice more than anyone else in your life. So make sure that voice is not always your biggest critic. Make it your coach. Now, let's talk about something that can be difficult for all of us: staying calm when things go wrong. Life does not always give us a warning before a problem appears. You can have a normal morning, feel happy and ready for your day, and then suddenly receive bad news, have an argument with someone, make a serious mistake, miss an important opportunity, or discover that your plans have completely changed. In moments like these, your first reaction may be fear, anger, stress, or confusion, and that is completely normal. But the important thing is what you do after that first reaction. When something goes wrong, try not to make a big decision while your emotions are very strong. Instead, take a slow breath and give yourself a moment. You can say to yourself, "Okay, something went wrong. Let me slow down and think." Then ask yourself 3 simple questions. What actually happened? What can I control? What should I do next? These questions help your mind move away from panic and toward action. For example, imagine you are preparing for an important English conversation, but when the conversation begins, you suddenly forget several words. You become nervous and think, "Oh no, I cannot speak English." But instead of panicking, take a breath. Speak slowly. Use simple words. Ask the other person to repeat the question if you need to. You do not need to speak perfectly. You simply need to keep communicating. That is what staying calm looks like. Being calm does not mean that you never feel pressure. It means that you learn how to create space between the problem and your reaction. And the more you practice this, the easier it becomes. So, the next time something unexpected happens, remember, stop, breathe, look at the facts, think about your choices, then take your next step. You do not need to solve your entire life in one moment. Sometimes, you only need to become calm enough to see the next right thing to do. And when you can stay calm while everything around you feels difficult, you have already won something very important: control over yourself. Another important skill you need if you want to train your mind to win in every situation is the ability to adapt. Life does not always follow the plan you create. You may have a clear goal, a clear schedule, and a clear idea about what you want to happen, but sometimes things change without asking you first. A plan can fail, an opportunity can disappear, a person can change, a job can change, or a situation can suddenly become completely different from what you expected. And when that happens, it is easy to spend a lot of time thinking, "But this was not supposed to happen." Of course, it is okay to feel disappointed. But after you accept what has happened, you need to ask yourself a better question. What can I do with the situation I have now? This is what adaptation means. Adapting does not mean giving up on your dreams. It does not mean becoming weak or accepting that you cannot succeed. It means being flexible enough to change your method when your situation changes. Imagine you want to improve your English by speaking with a partner every evening, but your partner suddenly becomes too busy. You could say, "I cannot practice English anymore." Or you could think, "Okay, this plan is not working now. What else can I do?" Maybe you can speak to yourself in English, record your voice, listen to a podcast, repeat sentences, or practice with another person when possible. The goal has not changed, only the method has changed. And this is a powerful way to think about life. Sometimes you do not need to change your dream. You simply need to change your strategy. So, when life changes your plan, do not waste all your energy fighting the fact that things are different. Take a breath, accept the new situation, look at your choices, and find another way forward. Because mentally strong people understand something very important. You may not always control the road, but you can learn how to keep moving when the road changes. And sometimes, the new path you never planned can take you somewhere even better than the path you originally imagined. Now, let's talk about something that can quietly make your mind weaker: comparing yourself to other people. It is very easy to look at someone else and think, "They are doing better than me." Maybe someone speaks English more fluently than you. Maybe they have a better job, more money, more confidence, more experience, or they reached a goal much faster than you did. And when you see their success, you may start thinking, "Why am I not like them?" But remember, you are looking at their result, not their entire journey. You do not see every mistake they made, every difficult day they had, every time they failed, every moment they felt afraid.
or every year they spent learning before they became good at something. And there is another problem with constant comparison. When you compare yourself with everyone, you can always find someone who seems ahead of you. So instead of asking, "Am I better than this person?" ask yourself, "Am I better than I was before?" Maybe 6 months ago, you were afraid to speak English, but today you can speak for 5 minutes. Maybe before you knew only a few English words, but now you understand simple conversations. Maybe you still have a long way to go, but you are moving forward. That progress matters. Your journey does not need to look like someone else's journey. Some people reach their goals quickly, while others need more time. Some people have more opportunities, while others have to work with fewer resources. What matters is that you continue learning, improving, and moving in the direction you want to go. So, when you see someone succeeding, do not automatically think, "I am behind." Instead, think, "What can I learn from them?" Let their success inspire you instead of making you feel small. Because your goal is not to win someone else's race. Your goal is to become a stronger, wiser, more confident version of yourself. And remember this simple sentence: I do not need to be ahead of everyone. I just need to keep moving forward. Now, you may be thinking, "Julia, this all sounds great, but how can I actually train my mind every day?" Well, you do not need to spend hours doing it, and you do not need a complicated plan. You can start with just 5 minutes a day. Think of these 5 minutes as a small workout for your mind. Minute 1. Breathe. Take a few slow breaths and allow yourself to become calm. Put your phone away for a moment, sit quietly, and simply notice how you feel. You do not need to solve every problem right away. First, give your mind a chance to slow down. Minute 2. Think. Ask yourself, what is most important for me today? Maybe it is studying English, finishing your work, having an important conversation, or simply staying calm during a difficult day. Choose one thing that deserves your attention. Minute 3. Challenge. Choose one small thing that you normally avoid. Maybe you are afraid of speaking English, so speak for 2 minutes without stopping. Maybe you usually give up when something becomes difficult, so today, stay with it a little longer. Minute 4. Encourage yourself. Say something useful to yourself, such as, "I can improve. I can handle difficult moments. I do not need to be perfect," or "I will take one step at a time." And finally, minute 5. Review. At the end of the day, ask yourself, what did I learn today? What did I do well? What can I do better tomorrow? That is it. 5 simple minutes. And if you are an English learner, you can do this entire routine in English. Think in English. Speak to yourself in English. Describe your problems in simple English, and practice your positive sentences out loud. Remember, a strong mind is not created in one big moment. It is built through small actions that you repeat every day. Train your mind a little today, a little tomorrow, and a little the next day. And over time, you may be surprised by how much stronger, calmer, and more confident you become. All right, now it is your turn. Let's finish today's lesson with a quick English speaking challenge. I want you to speak out loud with me, even if you are alone. Do not worry about your grammar and do not worry about making mistakes. Just speak slowly, clearly, and confidently. Repeat after me. I cannot control everything, but I can control my response. Every problem can teach me something. I can stay calm and think clearly. I do not need to be perfect to improve. I will focus on my next step. Very good. Now, here is your challenge. Think about one difficult situation you have faced recently. Maybe you made a mistake, failed at something, felt nervous, had a difficult conversation, or faced a problem that you did not expect. Now, explain it in simple English. You can start with, I faced a difficult situation when, then say, I felt, and finally, but now I can. For example, I faced a difficult situation when I made a mistake. I felt disappointed, but now I can learn from it and try again. Your answer does not have to be perfect. The goal is to speak, think, and train your mind in English at the same time. So, take a breath, speak out loud, and remember, every time you speak, you are becoming a little more confident. Keep practicing, keep learning, and most importantly, keep going. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Remember, life will not always be easy. You will face problems, mistakes, disappointment, rejection, stress, and unexpected changes. But you do not have to let every difficult situation control your mind. You can learn to pause before you react. You can focus on what you can control. You can turn problems into lessons, change your strategy when life changes, stop comparing yourself to others, and keep moving forward, even when the road becomes difficult. And most importantly, you can train your mind every single day. Because you may not control every situation, but you can train the person who faces that situation. So, the next time life gives you a difficult moment, take a breath and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What can I control? What is my next step? That is how you become stronger. And remember, you do not have to become perfect. You just need to become a little stronger, calmer, and wiser than you were yesterday. If you enjoyed this episode and found it useful, please like this podcast, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who is learning English and wants to become stronger and more confident. Keep practicing your English, keep training your mind, and keep moving forward. I'm Julia, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care, keep believing in yourself, and never stop growing.